Okay, I'm back with another word. Um, this one's going to be a little bit longer, but I urge you to stay to the end because God is saying a lot in this, okay? And it has taken several weeks for me to understand exactly what He was trying to tell me in this word. I have struggled with it deeply. And so, but it's not a bad word, it's a good word, okay? um, okay, so I'm going to read first off Isaiah 23:17 through 18, okay? And it says, "It will come about at the end of 70 years that the Lord will visit Tyre. Then she will go back to her harlot's wages and will play the harlot with all the kingdoms of the face of the earth. Her gain and her harlot's wages will be set apart for the Lord. It will not be stored up or hoarded, but her gain will become sufficient food and choice attire for those who dwell in the presence of the Lord." Okay. So the wicked and the gain and the income and the provision and the prosperity from the evil actions of one place. It says it is stored up. No, it says it will not be stored up or hoarded, but her gain, the harlot, will become sufficient food and choice attire for those who dwell in the presence of the Lord. It will be set apart to the Lord. Okay, so he gave me this a couple weeks ago, and I was really struggling with it because there's a lot of words on YouTube right now about wealth transfer. Okay, wealth transfer this, wealth transfer that. And I decided in my spirit that I was not going to agree with any of it until I heard it directly from the Lord. Because I know when things become, there are certain times when things become fads and people just jump on board and they jump on board. I heard a word from the Lord about this. I heard a word from the Lord about that. And they jump on board because they want to be a part of the movement that's going on. Okay. And I did not want to be a part of it at all. You know, I was like, I'm not going to agree with any of this until I hear it from the Lord directly. And even when he gave me this passage, was when I wasn't even seeking an answer about this. Okay, he gave me this passage separately so that I would know that it was from him. Okay, so even when he gave me this, I struggled with it because I have preached against prosperity preachers. I've preached against it, and like preachers who preach the prosperity gospel have misused God's name, and there is a holy fire of anger inside of me because of what they're doing. It is not right by God, okay? So I don't want to be one of those people who preach prosperity that is twisting the word of God, right? I don't want to be one of those people. So I struggled with this a lot. He sent me back here today, and it was funny because when he sent me back here, this is Isaiah 23. Okay, I was in prayer today, and I was praying to him, and he said Isaiah 23, and it didn't. I didn't remember in my head where the passage was that he had sent me to. Like this passage, I didn't remember the reference of it. So when he told me Isaiah 23 this morning, I wasn't expecting him to speak about this. I wasn't thinking, okay, he's sending me back to this passage. I had completely forgotten where this passage was located. Okay, I had it highlighted, but I forgot where it was located. And so he said Isaiah 23. And before I got there, he said, I really want you to understand this. Okay, so I started reading Isaiah 23, and it's talking about Tyre, and I'm like, okay, what is it that God really wants me to understand? I don't get it. And then I got down to the verse at the very bottom, at verse 17 and 18, and it was that same verse he had taken me to before, okay? About how the harlot's wages will be set apart for the Lord. And it will not be stored up, but it will be used for sufficient food and choice attire for those who dwell in the presence of the Lord. And immediately I understood that he was wanting to clear up the confusion of what I had about what was being said, okay? So throughout the time I spent with him this morning, he said a lot in regards to this. And I'm going to, it's already almost 7 minutes in. I'm sorry. It's going to be a little bit of a longer video, but I'm going to just share with you what he shared with me. And when he got to the end of the word, I told him, look, I need confirmation that I'm supposed to release this, because I still don't want to be someone who proclaims a word, promising something, and like, if I promise something and what if it doesn't come to pass, God, and he said, your job is to proclaim the word that I give you, and it is my job to make it come to pass. And he was kind of like, stop stepping out of your bounds. You stay in your lane, stop stepping out of your bounds. You do what I tell you to do, and I will do my part in it. So okay, so this is what he says, okay? I just want to give that whole pretext to it all, because I want you to understand where I'm coming from, okay? Okay. So I already read Isaiah 23, 17 and 18. That's where that passage was. And I wrote down a whole bunch of stuff when he was speaking to me. I wrote it all down, so I'm just going to read it. And within this, there's going to be scripture where he told me to place it, okay? Specific places where he told me to place it, okay? The Lord has told me that in the midst of the world being in disaster and judgment and darkness, there will be a supernatural provision for his children. He reminded me of the house that was lit up in the movie Live Free or Die Hard. Okay, so if you guys remember that movie, there was a blackout, okay? And there's this one house in the city that was lit up, and it was because he was not using the city power supply. He had his own power supplies, right? So his house was lit up, and the rest of the city was dark. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. Okay. Okay, God says, he reminded me of the house that was lit up in Live Free or Die Hard, and it will be like that because the source will be a different source. Okay, the world will be connected to the world's source, but we are connected to God as our source. So our houses will remain lit up while the world's houses will remain in darkness. I don't know if he means that this is like literally like the power supply is going to turn off and he's going to keep our lights on. I don't know if it means literally or if he means, that we are just going to be provided for, okay? Okay, then he sent me to Isaiah 60. I'm going to just read verse 1 through 3 right now. It said, "Arise, shine, for your light has come. The glory of the Lord rises upon you. See, darkness covers the earth, and thick darkness is over the peoples. But the Lord rises upon you, and his glory appears over you. Nations will come to your light, and kings to the brightness of your dawn." Okay. Okay, he said, okay, that was a passage. I'm going to read more of Isaiah 60 in a minute. He says, "The camels are coming to provide provisions from far off places that do not have anything to do with us or our lives, but are coming to bring these provisions to us as God's children." He said that he will bring it from a far off place outside of ourselves so that we will know that it's not from us, but it is from him. Okay, I'm going to continue in Isaiah 60. It says, starting in verse 4, "Lift up your eyes and look about you. All assemble and come to you. Your sons come from afar, and your daughters are carried on the arm. Then you will look and be radiant. Your heart will throb and swell with joy. The wealth on the seas will be brought to you. To you the riches of the nations will come. Herds of camels will cover your land, young camels of Midian and Ephah, and all from Sheba will come, bearing gold and incense, and proclaiming the praise of the Lord. All Kedar's flocks will be gathered to you. The rams of Nebaioth will serve you. They will be accepted as offerings on my altar, and I will adorn my glorious temple. Who are these that fly along the clouds like doves to their nests? Surely the islands look to me. In the lead are the ships of Tarshish, bringing your sons from afar with their silver and gold, to the honor of the Lord your God, the Holy One of Israel, for he has endowed you with splendor. Foreigners will rebuild your walls, and your kings will serve you. Though in anger I struck you, in favor I will show you compassion." Okay, let me see if I need to go on. Okay, verse 17 says, "Instead of bronze, I will bring you gold, and silver in place of iron. Instead of wood, I will bring you bronze, and iron in place of stones. I will make peace your governor, and righteousness your ruler. No longer will violence be heard in your land, nor ruin or destruction within your borders. But you will call your walls salvation, and your gates praise. The sun will no more be your light by day, nor the brightness of the moon shine on you. For the Lord will be your everlasting light, and your God will be your glory. Your sun will never set again, and your moon will wane no more. The Lord will be your everlasting light, and your days of sorrow will end. Then all of your people will be righteous, and they will possess the land forever. They are the shoot I have planted, the work of my hands, for the display of my splendor. The least of you will become 1,000, the smallest a mighty nation. I am the Lord your God. It is time I do this swiftly. Okay. I'm going to go back to what he was saying to me. Okay, he told me that his children He told me that his children deserve the best, and he reminded me of this time a long, long time ago. I was at a church service. I was visiting a church, okay? And I was at their service. I used their bathroom, and I realized that they had Bath and Body Works soap. And at that time, I hadn't really had too much experience with Bath and Body Works products, right? Like it was cushy to me. It was like, ooh, high end stuff, you know, back then. So, and I took notice to the soap that this church was using, and he said to me, I want my children to have the best. And he reminded me of that today whenever he was giving me this word, okay? There's also this sign that I passed a couple months ago, and it said, see the goodness. And when I saw this, in my spirit, I read, see the goodness of the Lord, okay? And I knew that he was saying something to me. But I didn't understand what he was talking about until today. He brought that back to memory. And he said that this is what he is doing so that we will see his goodness, that we will experience his goodness. Let me look here. He said he is doing this to restore his name. He gave me a word, a couple words back. He talked about how he was doing things to restore his name. He was doing things because we had profaned his name. He needed to do things to restore it, and he was going to bless us to restore his name. And he brought it up again today, okay? He is going to bless us to restore his name, and so that his children will be provided for when the world is in darkness. He said, this is not a prosperity preaching, that this is a blessing from him, and that it is the time to restore what was taken from us by the enemy. It is time to receive the things that have previously been blocked or stolen from the enemy, even the things that we were unaware of. Okay, so apparently there are things that the enemy has stolen from us that we were unaware of, maybe that we never had experienced, you know, things that had never come into our possession because they were stolen before they got to us, okay? Then I asked him a question. I said, why? I started this question, and right as I started the question, he answered it. But let me tell you what the question was, okay? Why does it seem like there's a conflict in the words that he's giving? Because one word tells us that there's going to be a lack of food and that we need to store up. And then another word is saying that we're going to be provided for and that the camels are coming. And even before Even before I got to the end of my question, he said this. He said, because I will bless you out of your obedience. Okay, so like when he gives these words and that we need to prepare because things are going to happen that are not going to be good in the future, that we need to prepare. We need to be obedient and do those things he's asked us to do, because what he's going to do, he's going to bless us out of our obedience, okay? He said to remember it only requires faith a size of a mustard seed, and that he is a God of multiplication. He said that when the time comes, the world will be able to see who are his children and who are not. He said that even the church, even inside the church, there will be a division, and it will be more evident who belong to him and who are lost. Okay, then he's telling me to read Psalm 128. It says, "Blessed are those who fear the Lord, who walk in his ways. You will eat fruit of your labor. Blessing and prosperity will be yours. Your wife will be like a fruitful vine within your house. Your sons will be like olive shoots around your table. Thus is the man blessed who fears the Lord. May the Lord bless you from Zion all the days of your life. May you see prosperity of Jerusalem. May you live to see your children's children. Peace be upon Israel." Okay, so he's saying that these are the people who are going to be blessed, those who fear the Lord. Okay. Let me go back here. Okay. I asked him when this provision is going to happen, and he said, when the time comes. He said, I hold the when and how. You are only to believe what I have said. He said he will use what is stored up in the world and give it to his children. Proverbs 13:22 says, "And the wealth of a sinner is stored up for the righteous." He said, "Do not have your hearts and minds set on material things, but have your hearts and minds set on him, for he knows the things he will use to bless each one of us. And it may not look like the things we desire in the physical. However, he will give us what is best for us, and we will not be in lack. He is our shepherd, and we will not lack. It is time to lie down in green pastures." He said that he searches our souls and our motivations, and he knows our thoughts and our deep desires, and those who hunger and thirst for him and his righteousness will be blessed, and those who hunger and thirst for material things of this world will lack. The blessing will not only be spiritual, but it will be physical things as well, because God says, "I am the God of the spiritual, and I am the God of the practical. And I know the practical needs of my children, and I will meet those needs according to my riches. The enemy has stolen from my children even the basic needs of what they require to live. However, now is the time for all those things to be paid back sevenfold." He said, "Jubilee." And then he said there will be specific directions and instructions on how to handle the blessing and how to use it in accordance to his will and furthering his kingdom. There will be no more lack for those who are in Christ Jesus. Okay, that's all. Like I said, I asked him when this was going to happen, and he said when the time comes, so I don't know. And I guess that's it. I really don't have anything additional to say about this. We need to keep our priorities in line. We need to put him as a priority, his righteousness and his word and his truth as a priority during this time, okay? I'm hoping that he'll give me even more revelation about all this, because I still have many questions inside my spirit. However, I did feel like he was telling me that I need to release this word out of obedience to him, even when it brings up a lot of fleshly feelings and questions in my mind. In my spirit, I need to obey him. So this is what I'm doing. I hope this has blessed you. And if he speaks any more about this topic and wants me to share it, then that's what I'll do. Okay? I love every one of you. Bye.